midweek Wednesday mailbag, but a Thursday mailbag because we got so many great questions.
Well, let's start right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your very first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Rays is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Rays. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays. And if you want to advertise with the program, email lockedonrays@gmail.com. All right, let's run through more of these mailbag questions. This one from Jacob Zajcik, and more of a hot take than a question. He says, I have a fun hot take for pitchers. By September, Jeffrey Springs will be our third best starter after McClanahan and Shane Baz. Meanwhile, Bruján turns it around offensively before Paredes and Walls.
Man, those are very bold hot takes. I'll tell you that. Let's start with the second one first. He says Bruján will be better than Walls and Paredes at season's end. I don't know.
He's worse than them now.
Yeah. He's below replacement level right now. Walls is too. Haven't checked Paredes yet, but I like Paredes more right now than the other two. I mean, his bat seems to be playing. He hits the ball hard. He's shown some pop already. I don't know. I feel like he has a little bit more confidence in him, body language wise. I know what a thing to say about the eye test, but he looks comfortable, and that's I think an important facet of the game.
I think Paredes has maybe the most offensive potential of all those guys. Not saying he's going to be the best player, at least as of this year, the rest of this year. Here's the issue I have with Vidal Bruján. I don't think either of these guys are going to necessarily light the world on fire by the end of this year. But Bruján, one good thing that he does is he's not striking out, but he does not hit the ball hard. You'd be hard pressed to see him hit the ball out of the infield. And not only hit the ball out of the infield, but get the ball to a bag. Get the ball to the first base bag, the second base bag, the third base bag. And what hurts is even with that electrifying speed, you can still have the defense play in on him. And he can't even though he is making contact, he can't move the runner over or do the old hit and run action because he doesn't hit the ball hard enough.
The soft contact is too much, man. You're right. He's getting, I mean, I don't want to say this, but when you're talking about infield play, you know what comes to mind is kind of softball, you know.
Yeah.
It seems that way. Like he's not getting the ball hard into the outfield. That's such a big problem. And I don't want to say the O word, but I will. He's seen overmatched by the pitching.
Right.
And I mean, I think that's a thing that you can see with a lot of rookies, and because this team has a lot of rookies, and it's something that a lot of Rays fans have had to see a lot of in 2022. Again, we preach patience. It'll be fine by season's end. It's frustrating, though, and Bruján's at-bats right now are frustrating when the bloop single, when the old Texas is the only thing that is really keeping his average around 150.
Yeah, and if Bruján wants to figure this out or help himself offensively, I'd just try to be laying down bunts to the left side and right side as much as possible. Learn the bunt game. And part of it might be I do agree that he's overmatched. And again, he's another reason or another example why we cannot be hugging prospects and saying that this guy is going to be great and he's going to be awesome because he's ranked the number 3 prospect in the organization, and he's ranked the number 18 prospect in all of baseball. Like, at the end of the day, that doesn't matter when you get to the big league level. That does not count for anything. Now, maybe some of the weak contact has to do with him batting from the left side so much because he is facing so many righties. It could be sort of a Wander situation where switch hitters are normally better from the right side than left side. And maybe that's where more of his power potential, or at least getting the ball to the outfield line, driving it and driving the ball more, could work to his advantage. But right now, at least when he's batting left-handed, it is not working. And when 70% of the league is right-handed pitching, that's a problem.
But you would expect something to wash out, right? Because usually with switch hitters, one side is their dominant one, so they might have a little bit more pop or more contact on one side than the other. But I'm not seeing either contact, like a high batting average, or any pop from the left side. So, it's concerning. Again, it's just concerning. It's like a yellow flag right now. I don't think it's a red one. I think we need to be patient. But from what we've seen so far, it has been underwhelming by Vidal Bruján. It really has at the plate. The defense, I think, plays. Just like Walls, I think the defense, plays. I wouldn't have liked to have seen so many Walls errors so quickly in this season, but I think it plays. And it'll be fine. It's the bat. And the one thing that the Rays need right now is offense. And so when you've got two guys that are heavily struggling right now, did you see the lineup that they did in the second game against the Rangers, the bottom three? Zunino, Walsh, Bruján. Bro,
that's scored 0 runs.
Bro, that's Elliot Johnson, Reed Brainiac, and Kelly Shopback.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's not. Yeah. It's no bueno. It's no bueno.
Again, and that's why I don't know why a Bruján just shouldn't be bunting like all the time. If you can, like, get them playing so far in that even if you hit the ball to the first base bag, you at least have a shot to reach there.
At a double. At a double.
Yeah.
You have a shot at a double because you've got hot wheels.
Yeah. The second part of Jacob's question or comment about Jeffrey Springs being the team's third best starter after McClanahan and Shane Baz come September.
I mean, I would love that because I also want Drew Rasmussen and Corey Kluber to keep going, doing very well. And so if Jeffrey Springs turns out to be the third best one, and Rasmussen and Kluber just keep doing what they're doing, that means Jeffrey Springs really brought it. And that would be terrific news. I did say on Tuesday's episode, I think the Springs Yarbrough competition has begun because Boss is going to be called up. Now, could you go in a 6-man rotation? Could you do a little bulk action and keep the 6-man on the rotation? Sure. I think you could do that if you're the Rays. And if somebody's going to do it, it would be the Rays. You want to, manage the load from Shane Baz. You want to manage the load from McClanahan and all that. But I think right now, if I had to pick one guy to keep on the rotation, I'd keep Springs over Yarbrough.
Yeah. And not to say that, again, I think the Rays want to be cautious and careful with Shane Baz. So maybe it's not like, oh, Shane Baz is back and he is immediately the number 2 starter. Like, and who knows, by September, things might change. But I could see them slowly working Shane Baz back in, doing a little combo bulk action with him and Yarbrough or somebody else. Yeah. Jeffrey Springs, who before the season started had him as, being one of the team's best pitchers and best starters thus far. He's really, really turned it around and turned the corner. Good for him. Fangraphs actually did a really great write-up on why he's been so successful this year. It starts with that changeup, being able to get that. I mean, really just the command and location of everything he offers, but the changeup, it allows him to get out the righties and get swing and misses on pitches way outside the zone. So you hope he's able to keep it up. You hope he's able to stay healthy. And now that trade where Springs and Mazza were acquired for catching prospect Ronaldo Hernandez looks better by the day, or it looks even. It looks good. I think Hernandez is still in AA or AAA as of right now. Chris Mazza, I probably would have, going back to that trade, I probably would have thought that Chris Mazza might have, wound up being more of something than Jeffrey Springs. Because wasn't Jeffrey Springs DFA'd at one point?
Maybe I don't
DFA by the
remember,
Red
but
Sox maybe and brought back. I don't know, but
I'll tell you,
again,
I didn't like the trade when it happened because I really wanted to see Ronaldo, in the major league. So, but I think the last time I checked on his numbers, and I think he's in Double A or Triple A, I don't remember. They were no bueno either. So
yeah.
maybe the Rays saw something there that they said, you know what, better to pull the trigger right now. We can phalange Jeffrey Springs into a starter in around a year and a half. So maybe of course
that's the thing is if the Rays are going after and attacking a pitcher, that pitcher more often than not can seem to do some pretty good things there. All right. Before we move along with some more questions here and comments, we have to tell listeners about something called Rock Auto.
Well, and Rock Auto can save you both time and money when you use them, because why should you choose to spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or a car dealership? That doesn't make sense. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every customer as well. They have everything you could ever need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Make sure to write "Locked On" in their "How did you hear about us" box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com.
All right. This next question from Cody Glazer. He says, 8 of our 9 main guys have a WRC plus and OPS plus over 100, but we're still bottom half in runs scored. Are our advanced stats a good omen for things to come, or is it a testament to the Tigers and Pirates of the world who bring OPS plus down?
Not every OPS plus and WRC plus is created equal. I'll tell you that. Go look. This is a fun thing if you have like a good 20 minutes to waste, or just, not waste. And if you enjoy this, then it's time enjoyed, and that is okay, how you spend your time enjoying yourself. But 20 minutes is all it takes. Go through Baseball Reference or Fangraphs, whichever one is your favorite, or both. And then look at some guy that had a 120 OPS plus in 2012. Then look at the same 120 OPS plus in 2022. The differences are huge. The guy that was putting 120 OPS plus back then really had to put some effort into those numbers. Right now, offense is just so damn low that, a lot of guys, if they do just the bare minimum to be above average, are going to put up, 110, 115. That's why you're seeing those 8 of 9 guys being OPS plus of, whatever you said, 103, 105. That's why, man, the offense around the league is just so much weaker than in years past.
Yeah, and just a quick explanation for people that may not know what OPS plus or WRC plus means. I just want to give a quick definition. OPS plus takes a player's on-base plus slugging percentage and normalizes the number across the entire league. It accounts for external factors like ballparks. It then adjusts. So a score of 100 is league average, and 150 is 50% better than the league average. Meanwhile, weighted runs created plus takes the statistic runs created and adjusts that number to account for important external factors like ballpark or ERA. It's adjusted, so a WRC plus of 100 is league average, and 150 would be 50% above league average. Now, I should note a couple things. Of these main guys, of these 9 main guys, 2 are now on the IL, Brandon Lau and Wander Franco. So you're basically taking 2 100 OPS plus, WRC plus guys out of the equation as of right now. Second,
not only that, who are you adding back, Kevin?
A lot of nothing.
a lot of 47s.
Yeah,
Walls.
that's
a lot of 44. Bruján.
And let's consider this. How much above 100 are these guys? I don't know. I haven't looked at all the numbers, but I can probably just ballpark it and say that you don't have a lot of OPS plus or WRC pluses of 135, 140, 150. It would probably, again, just off the top of my head, barely be or slightly above 100. My point is that even if these guys are above 100, that's great and all, but there's not a lot of strong hitters or strong thumpers in this lineup. It's a lot of league average, slightly above league average if you combine it all as of right now.
Yeah, and you know what? Do you know who has the highest OPS plus on the team right now?
I think I did look at it. One G-Man Choi.
Close. He's at 151. Manuel Margot is at 158. But again,
Okay.
the guy who's leading the team missed like 12 games.
Yeah.
And like you said, Brandon Lau on the 10-day IL. Wander Franco with his 119 on the IL. And yeah, you have guys like Harold Ramirez and Kevin Kiermaier at 106 and 103 respectively. But
that's average. That's at the end of the day, that's pretty average.
3% above, 6% above, you're not really going to see that much of a push of like, oh, this offense is really good because they're being carried by a guy that's 106 and 103. No, you should see a lot of that from the 150s and the 121s from Yandy Diaz and G-Man Choi. But again, how many at-bats is G-Man Choi really getting that other guys are? I mean, in comparison, Randy Arozarena has had 181 at-bats. G-Man Choi has had 99. So yeah,
Right.
G-Man's 151 looks real shiny, but when you look at the at-bats, that's the issue.
Yeah, and honestly, that's probably what it should be for G-Man Choi, who's mainly used in platoon situations. I would expect that number to be that number. If he was an everyday player, it would be great. A guy with 180 at-bats so far has a WRC plus, OPS plus of 150, but that's not really truly the case. And here's the issue with the Rays offense, among other things, is like I said, I think just too much average, not a lot of shine there, but they're not hitting the ball, like we mentioned with Vidal Bruján. They're not hitting the ball as solidly compared to other teams. They're hitting too many ground balls. They're not hitting for enough power, and they're not walking. Those are a lot of negatives right there. And also, when you make as many outs on the base paths as you do, whether it's caught stealing or otherwise, or boneheaded plays, looking at you, Randy, looking at you, Yandy, looking at you, G-Man Choi. And maybe some of that is kind of they have to buy product because they're not driving the ball consistently, that they have to force the issue and say, well, we got to try to get somebody in scoring position some way or somehow. So that's the way we're going to do it. But it's an offense that it does not look like a offense that's going to take you very deep into the playoffs.
No, and I love the fact that you're putting the walk rate on here, because if you look at that on base percentage, man, besides 3 guys, everybody else has a just pedestrian or sub-pedestrian on-base percentage. I mean, Harold Ramirez, 315. Randy Arozarena, 308. Wander Franco, 305. Brandon Lau, 293. And then the rest are 270, 262. I mean, it's no good. It's no good right now. So, like, this offense is really struggling. And that was a good thing about the Rays. They knew how to take their walks. They knew how to be patient at the plate. We're not really seeing
too much. That was the problem. But now they're not, like, striking out like crazy, but they're not hitting for power enough.
Yeah.
And they're not walking enough. So it's quite the delicate balancing act of what do you want? Do you want high contact teams that can't score because they're not hitting for power? Or do you want teams that are going to strike out a ton, but they're going to lean into one and, get a 3-run home run every now and again? So it's,
but where are the home runs coming? I mean, where are the home runs going to come? I mean, Mike Zunino has 4, but that's less than Kevin Kiermaier and Brandon Lau. And Brandon Lau has been on the shelf for almost a month now.
Yeah. And you can't expect, again, Wander Franco, we've said this before, he's not a 30 home run guy yet. He may never be a 30 home run guy you're looking at right now with him being on the injured list, probably 12 to 15.
Right.
If that, as of right now, if he situates things. Again, I don't think there's going to be a player on this roster that gets 30 home runs. And if it continues, there might not be a player on this roster that gets 22 or 25 home runs. As it's looking.
We said this at the beginning of the season, so we're going to look like Nostradamus, and that's going to be great. But I honestly wanted to be wrong. I wanted to be wrong about this team's power ability. But my God, they're making us look very, very smart right now because no one's hitting it out of the park.
Yeah. All right. One thing that will hit it out of the park for you, that's Blue Nile. Be sure to make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners will get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement as well. Use code LOCKEDON. That's code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com. All right, a couple other quick comments that we want to get to here. This from Zach Dabb, and he's a little bit of a Nostradamus because he says that Wander needs to be shut down until he can get fully right. Starting him every day hurt isn't working. If we're going to get anywhere this season, we need a fully healthy Wander. We've seen he's MVP level when healthy. He's just not healthy. Well, guess what? The Rays recently put him on the IL. So, Ulises, I guess, do you have a conspiracy theory or two regarding the Wander Franco situation? How does this situate things at all for you?
Well, we did a whole episode about this because it was getting ridiculous. And I said, I'll put my aluminum foil, hat on.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, there was something up. I mean, you can't just keep having these little leaks and say, oh, this is changing or whatever. But I don't believe it. I think there's still, I think it's more serious than they're trying to let on, which again, if it's serious, do it like 3 weeks ago when the guy couldn't even slide in Camden yards for the winning run. That was the biggest. Okay, the camel. What is it? The straw. The last straw for the camel's back or whatever.
The camel's back. Yeah.
That, come on, just put him on the shelf. Why are you risking more injury by him trying to 80% it, 50% it? Why would you want to do that? And my reasoning for why would you want to do that is because there's not really a good communication right now between Wander, the front office, the health staff, the coaching staff. There's something going there because if there wasn't anything going on, then this would have been a smooth process.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't. It was different quotes. It was 3 weeks worth of, oh, we're just letting him to take it easy on small grounders. Oh, it's the turf. Oh, it's the quad. Oh, it's the hamstring. Oh, it's the 7th inning. So we're going to defensively replace the best player that we have.
Right.
Come on. There's something going on there.
Well, what's concerning is that they waited this long to put him on the IL. He probably should have been put on the IL longer before. So you hope this isn't a bigger issue than expect or becomes a bigger issue than expect. And man, I foresee with Wander on the IL, Brandon Lau still on the IL, we're going to see a lot of low-scoring ball games, and we're going to see a lot of games that are probably going to be over in 2 hours, 15 minutes, 2 hours, 20 minutes. Like I turned on the Rangers game the other day, expecting it to be like the 5th inning. It was already top of the 8th because the game had moved that quick, and it could be rough. So the Rays just have to hope that they can keep their head above water and scrounge out. I don't know if you can just stay. I don't know how they're going to get W's if they're not scoring whatsoever. So can't win if you score 0. So that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. And you just hope that this issue with his leg, his lower extremity, his quad, whatever it may be, you hope it's a 10 day issue, 2-week issue instead of a 6-week issue, because that could be a really, really big problem. And that could, quite frankly, I know baseball is more about one player, but if you lose Wander Franco for a couple months, that might be your season. That might be the difference between making the playoffs and not making the playoffs, because that may also, if you're sliding, that may also allow, say, the Red Sox or the Blue Jays or some other team to take advantage of that window and make an ad or two and leapfrog the Rays. So that's going to be something to monitor going forward. And then here's a little fun question, not necessarily baseball related, but we always include or like to include comments of all types. Dustin Payne says, I have a question that has nothing to do with baseball. Warriors or Celtics win the NBA Finals? Who you got?
You couldn't have made it any easier for me, Dustin, as a very casual basketball fan. I only see international competitions for basketball or the finals. And I'll tune into like 2 or 3 games for the finals. And yeah, I'm going non-Boston here. Let's go Warriors. Let's go legend Steph Curry. What he did, man, getting that 3-point ever record, that's really cool. I'm always up for the GOATs to get their achievements. Their 2015 run was impressive, so I'm gonna go with Warriors here.
Yeah, normally I would be, and I guess I am rooting. I'm not really rooting for anybody. I don't want to see a Boston team win necessarily, but I feel like the sports gods are with the Celtics here. The Red Sox are bad. The Patriots lost Tom Brady. The Bruins were eliminated, I think, in the first round of the playoffs. Didn't make it as far as they were expected to go. So some Boston professional sports team has to go somewhere. So I guess it has to be the Celtics. And look, they've handled every challenge that's been thrown their way with the Nets, the Bucks, and the Heat. We'll find out if defense wins championships, because that's the calling card of the Celtics. And also I have a little bit of rooting interest for the Celtics in the sense that Brad Stevens is their president of basketball operations. He's basically Indiana guy, by the way, coached at Butler. He's like an Indiana legend, but state of Indiana legend, not IU legend. But he is the equivalent of an Andrew Friedman, Chaim Bloom, Eric Neander. He is that sort of mind, but with basketball instead of baseball. So if you have some time to do some reading on how Brad Stevens became as successful with The Rock and coaching The Rock, that would be something to look out for. So a little bit of rooting interest there for a guy who has some Indiana ties. So
very cool.
We'll see what happens. So good question there from Dustin. Good questions from everybody out there. We appreciate it. And we'll have another mailbag episode or episodes next week as well.
Also, if you send in a mailbag question and it doesn't get answered right away, apologize, but we do get quite a bit, and it's awesome and we love it. So just be patient. Yours will always get answered one way or another, in a passing comment or in a whole segment worth, but we do get to them all the time. It's just sometimes there's a backlog and we need to, first come, first serve.
That's a great point. Yeah, we got a great question from Joshua Garner of doing an all-time from Tampa team, all-time Tampa native team. That's something that we'll have to dive into maybe next week as well. So keep them coming. LockedOnRays@gmail.com or send us a Twitter or Instagram DM. And again, if you're also a business looking to advertise, LockedOnRays@gmail.com is the place to do that as well. Thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your very first listen every day. Now make your second listen the Locked On MLB podcast. That is also free and available on all platforms. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.